Okay, go. Okay. So I'm doing my makeup speech. Imagine waking up and hearing that parts of the federal government have stopped working because Congress couldn't agree on funding. It's because with little money they're allowed to access, because every year they have a number of money they're allowed to access. It's not because of they ran out of money, it's because they don't have permission to get into more money. A government shutdown happens when Congress fails to pass funding bills, disrupting services and workers in the economy. So that's what I'll be talking about. A government shutdown occurs when, according to congressional research, a government shutdown occurs when annual appropriations are not enacted before the fiscal year begins. This is a definition of what the shutdown shows. That happens because Congress does not pass funding on time. So when Congress does not pass funding on time, it limits resources, services, jobs, healthcare. Healthcare was a definite, got worse from it. Federal agencies must shut down all non-essential operations. According to U.S. Today, it shows what actually happens during the shutdown. Mainly parts of the government stop working, which affects everyday services. When they shut down everything, it limits trade as well, because then they have no way to bring in ships of goods, and they have no way to send out goods, so they're not making their money on that, because again, Congress doesn't know how to send in their bills that they need to send in by the deadline that they have to send in. Why happens? Shutdown happens because the government cannot agree on how to spend money. You have all of Congress, and they always think that some money needs to go to this, and some money needs to go to this. And they can't ever agree on what is the main priority. And then when they have problems, disagreeing on where they want to put their money in, do they want to put the money in the military? Do they want to put it in transportation? They have all these arguments, and then with arguments, they forget about getting the bill to request and access more money. Congress must pass 12 funding bills each year. It's a rule, they have to pass it, and they are supposed to pass it by October 1st, which is the start of the fiscal year. So they have to pass it by then, or else they will not get their funding that they'll need for the next year as well. If these bills are not approved, government runs out of legal funding. That means, again, they will not be able to do roads. They can't pay workers. They can't provide health care to any of these. And some jobs will get shut down if they don't have the funding that they need. Some Congress use temporary funding bill to avoid a shutdown, so they can try and access to get a temporary bill. Sometimes it does pass, sometimes it does not. It depends on the situation that they have. So if they get their temporary funding bill, but it won't be of much money, then they have money to do transportation or figure out where they want to fix. If it fails, shutdown begins. That means, again, jobs are lost, because a lot of jobs can't stay open because of the government needs to supply the money to stay open. Workers are not getting paid the money that they need or want, so they're just going to leave because they think it's not fair to us for spending all our time and not getting the money that we deserve. So again, the government doesn't run out of money. It's when the shutdown begins, as well as when the government runs out of permission to access that money to help its support. Shows how political conflict affects the whole country. So again with trade, and how one singular mistake can affect everyone because everyone's not getting their funding. Even small disagreements can cause big national problems. So if they disagree on a little tiny amount, I want $1 million to go to this, but this to the transportation, they're also thinking, no, $1 million needs to go to this, and then they have that tiny little disagreement where, again, it becomes a big national problem. Shutdowns are not accidents. They're a result of disagreements that were not solved in time. Effects. Workers prolonged or unpaid, services shut down or delayed, impacts millions of Americans. This is what happens when the shutdown begins, and this will make the workers furious. According to the New York Times, federal workers deemed non-essential are furloughed and stay home without pay. This shows a real impact on workers, showing that people lose income and nearly directly affected by shutdowns. So again, workers will not have pay. According to CNN Politics, a shutdown disrupts services that millions of Americans rely on, from national parks to tax processing. So then the taxing situation is horrible. National parks are not getting taken care of, and it becomes a whole disaster. The ecosystem falls. Shutdowns are no funding agreements and affects workers, services, and the economy. Again, this is what happens when a shutdown does happen. And the government shutdowns show how important it is for leaders to work together. When they don't, millions of people are affected.